Original.
Hello and welcome to Web Crawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite unsolved mysteries. Each week we will introduce a topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. Who knows, we might even solve the case. I am Allie Siegel.
I'm Melissa Stettin.
And I'm producer Maria.
Web Crawlers has a Patreon to get access to rewards, bonus episodes, shout outs, merch discounts, and more. Please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers.
What do you guys think about this Friday doing a live call-in show?
I'm ready.
Like it. I'm down. Let me check my calendar. Oh, it's empty.
I'm open, ready, and willing.
We don't have a sponsor, but
whatever.
People, we get one on the books, and all of a sudden, you know, the infrared blanket people come running.
Friday's a holiday, but
it is.
I'm still willing to
What holiday is it?
Eid al-Adha. It's the festival of sacrifice, the second of two Islamic holidays celebrated worldwide each year and considered the holier of the two. So we'll have a special celebration on our live Zoom as well.
So what do you think the time should be that we should record this? What do you think is a good time for people to listen live?
Don't want to be too late for East Coast, so we should do...
I would say either 3 or 5 PST.
Let's do 5.
Okay.
And then so that's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and then anyone Central is just kind of like right there too.
Yeah, you're right in the middle.
Who knows what even time it is Central? I think it's
I don't know
2 hours
anyone who
later.
lives in the Central time zone, to be honest.
I have some clients who live in Central, and I always get confused when I'm booking them, and I always book it wrong. I have no idea what time Central is.
Central's like our number one. That's like Chicago people, who's like our number one listenership. They're all
Is
Central.
it? I thought Chicago was Eastern. Oh my God, no, Chicago's not Eastern. Michigan's Eastern. Chicago's always an hour ahead. Well, I guess I know a lot of people who live in Chicago.
Do you know that there's so many more time zones than you think there are?
No, there's only 3.
No, there's not, Melissa. I thought there was only 3. And then I started working with clients, and there's like Mountain Time, Central Time, Pacific Time, Eastern time. There's more than that.
Too.
Island. There's island
I'm always
time.
on island time, baby.
Hold on. I have to Google. Hold on. How many?
What's Alaska?
Maria, how many time zones do you think there are?
In America?
Yes.
Don't forget Hawaii.
Yeah, that's what. Okay, I'm going to say there's 5.
Okay. Melissa, how many do you think there are?
I'm going to go crazy and say there's 7 because I don't know where. Who knows?
There's 9.
No, there's not.
You guys, wait. See Allie's face. It's like she just told us she was pregnant.
Does this include Puerto Rico? Because I think Puerto Rico's in a...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wait, Guam. Are you counting Guam, the American territory? I hope that people listening to this podcast for the first time are like, what?
Is this a
time zone podcast?
Okay, so there's Eastern, there's Central, there's Mountain, there's Pacific, there's Hawaiian, there's Alaskan, there's also American Samoan,
right?
And there's also Guam.
Oh, Guam's included. Finally,
yes.
For once.
Well,
and Atlantic time zone, which is Puerto Rico.
Okay, I'm glad we got that settled. For all you geography buffs out there.
I don't even know. Oh, right. We were planning our Zoom. So we have to take all those into account. I forgot how we even got into that.
And so what's going on in Guam? Like, what do they do over there?
I think there's like a military base over there.
And is it... I mean, it looks It looks very beautiful. Wow, it's right.
I'm sure.
Japan. Okay, if any listeners in Guam out there.
Wow, that beach. 6 things you don't know about Guam.
It's got its own time zone.
I don't know anything about Guam, to be honest.
It's one of the furthest places Americans can go without leaving the U.S.
You don't need a passport to go to Guam.
Well, they can't vote for the president. That's weird.
Well, Puerto Rico can't either. They're just a territory.
Right. Oh, interesting.
I don't think they pay taxes.
It's tax-free. It's
I was gonna
tax-free.
say, yeah, they don't pay taxes. That's cool.
They don't.
Yeah, let's go.
We should go to Guam.
Well, if there's any listeners in Guam, but then also we should pick another place because you guys got a response from when you shouted out to Lund, Sweden.
We got a listener from Lund.
Yeah. So what's another place that's there?
Yeah, Johanna is from Lund.
What about in Turkey? We've got people listening in Istanbul and Ankara.
Ooh.
Incredible. So if you're from Istanbul or Ankara, please give us a shout. Those are two of our favorite places
that we've
never
been.
Also, only because there's only 9 listeners there, and maybe they dropped off or whatever. But we've got some Russian listeners in Omsk.
Ooh.
If you guys are listening in Omsk,
I'm Russian.
You are
Russian to finish this episode.
Oh no.
But I am actually Russian. My lineage is Russian. I'm a Russian Jew, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Okay, so there's that. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star review, let us know and we'll shout you out. We would love to get to 1,000 reviews. We're at like 700 or something. So let's boost it.
No, we're only at like 500.
Well, that's only in America, but we could have we could have other countries.
Yeah, where we're only 1-star reviews there, probably. What an international show we're having.
No, you guys have some more money from your supporters.
Oh my God, tell us about it.
This is from Aram Fingal. She gave $5. Great show. Wow. Have a nice day. P.S. You should have Lydia back on. And I agree with that.
Oh, we should.
Our patrons are the only ones who know who Lydia is.
Yep. They know the true identity.
Mr. Reed gave $10, and he said a trio of beautiful women, Allie, and then a drooly face.
Oh.
Like that, that drooly emoji where the guy and his eyes are kind of closed, and then he's got drool coming down. So that's it.
Yes.
That. And then who perfectly capture the ominous hilarity that is conspiracy theories and the paranormal. Quite possibly my favorite podcast. Keep getting into it. Honk, honk. And then Tierney gave $3 and left no message.
That's fine.
Mysterious. I love it.
So if you guys want to give a little something to your favorite podcast, just click the supporter button when you're listening to the podcast, right? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's the link in the show notes.
Link in bio. Also, Erios has a hotline. Insert jingle here. 626-604-6262. And as usual, we've been getting so many voicemails that we can't even fill a mailbag episode.
We've been doing double bag episodes.
We've been double bagging it. And also there's a new rivalry in our voicemails.
There's drama.
Yeah, we got drama in the voicemails. So
there's a beef.
Yeah, there's a beef. So between Jeb and who's the other guy?
We don't know. They didn't give a name.
Oh yeah. The unknown 2 old men fighting in the voicemails.
It's great.
It's
great.
Melissa, who are our patrons?
We have Johanna from Lund, Trice, Petya, Janelle, Nicole, and Nydia. These are all great names, great unique names.
Yeah, they're really gorgeous. So thank you guys for joining the party. I'm super excited for our episode today. I watched a documentary on it and it was super boring. So this episode's going to be even more exciting. Melissa, what are we talking about today?
Did you watch the Investigation Discovery episode about it? That was way more interesting.
No, I didn't. I only watched the weird German documentary and then I zoned out.
Well, that's good. We have 2 different perspectives on the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so on November 22nd, 1995, filmmaker Alan Ross disappeared without a trace. Alan was part of a religious cult called the Samaritan Foundation, which was led by his wife, Linda Greene. Linda believed that vampires could gain access to her by talking on the phone.
True.
That negative energy could be washed away with soy milk.
Also true.
And that barcodes were evil.
I get it.
What's the deal with this cult and what happened to Alan Ross? Let's get into it.
Such a thing as good cause. Web crawlers doesn't look like it at all. Web crawlers, Satanism and UFOs. Web crawlers, sleep paralysis, they'll let you know. From where
Okay, so who is this Alan Ross guy? So Alan was a filmmaker, and he worked full-time as an editor on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. He was also a twin.
Okay, time out for a second.
Oh, there's already a timeout. One sentence in.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
I met triplets, or I didn't meet all three of them, but I'm doing some renovations on a place I'm going to be living, and the woman who's doing the renovations is a triplet.
Whoa.
And they were all born on Halloween.
No.
Whoa.
Yes. And I asked her, I was like, is it spooky being a triplet? Like, can you feel each other's like physical and emotional feelings? Like, are you psychic? And she said no. She said it's not that spooky.
Well, then she's not a triplet because
Okay.
that's not.
It doesn't hold up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
it
she's
doesn't
a
hold up.
liar, apparently. So
Yeah, so
That's
I don't know.
Is what
Yeah.
it seems like. You better be careful.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, continue.
Okay, so Alan Ross, he helped found the Artists Cooperative and Film Society for Chicago filmmakers, which was helping struggling artists find resources to complete their project. So he was a cool guy, cool filmmaker in Chicago. In 1986, he began to dabble in the occult with his girlfriend, Flanagan Mackenzie.
Which is an insane name.
It's an insane name. So by early 1992, their relationship was waning, but they remained friends. And then Mackenzie heard about a lady from Guthrie, Oklahoma, who was conducting seminars at a hotel near the O'Hare Airport that involved the use of pendulums for spiritual awareness.
Oh, right. Do you want me to get my pendulum so I can show you?
Yes. And so then all of a sudden, Alan abandoned his life in Chicago and he moved to Oklahoma because he was super interested in this stuff. And then, so who was Linda Greene? Linda Greene was the leader of a group of New Age practitioners known as the Samaritans. And she was a registered nurse. And she was once featured in a 1980s news story about hospice innovations where she worked. She was also an actress, a poet, and an author who wrote books about her New Age philosophies. So Alan's girlfriend, Mackenzie, attended Linda's seminar in Chicago and then followed her to Guthrie, Oklahoma for more. So she would come back to Alan and tell him all about this woman. She was super interested in everything. So then Alan started going with Mackenzie on these trips to Oklahoma. And then he started going to Oklahoma alone. Like he would just go by himself, even without his girlfriend. And in one seminar that Alan attended, Linda Greene paired the men and women into couples and married them.
What?
Just like random cult members. So then Alan returned to Chicago with a surprising announcement. He had married a woman after having known her for only 3 days.
Oy vey.
Another cult member. And then, this is a side note, at a later meeting, Linda told her students that she was dying and that in order to save her life, Alan Ross and his new wife must have sex on top of her. And then afterward, Linda announced that the efforts had not been in vain and that she had fully recovered.
Ew, freakazoid.
Yeah, freakazoid. But then Linda decided that she wanted Alan all for herself. And so she ended up marrying Alan. She had just divorced her 5th husband, Dennis Greene, only a few months prior. And she's like, I love this Alan guy.
Oh my God.
You should be my husband.
Ew.
So then, prior to their divorce of Dennis and Linda, Denis helped Linda establish this cult called Samaritan Foundation so she could teach classes and hold retreats where she explained her New Age beliefs to her students. Alan, when he moved to Oklahoma, his family and friends were shocked. According to the friends, Alan had become obsessed with spirituality, and he was like fully engulfed in this Samaritan Foundation.
Oy.
So this cult, their beliefs. So they studied, on top of spirituality, they studied topics like alien abductions and demonic possessions.
Our podcast.
Exactly. It's called web crawlers. So then Linda also told her believers not to talk on the telephone because vampires can gain access to them.
Okay.
And she taught her followers how to release pent-up energy, negative energy, and release it correctly. One of the ways was sending your negative energy into soy milk and then pouring it down the drain.
Okay.
So you're like, energy, go into this bottle of soy milk, and then you dump it down the drain, which makes perfect sense to me. I don't know. And then she also believed that barcodes harbored negative energy.
Well, that's true.
So the cult's literature has references to vampires and even the Antichrist. And then Linda also claimed in her writings that she was the Christ because she, quote unquote, willingly gave her soul so that all of yours could survive.
Interesting. Okay.
Sounds cool.
So then the cult moved their headquarters to a former prison. First, it was a prison. Then it shut down and became a Nazarene church until the early 1970s. And then in 1991, Linda moved the cult into it.
Cool place to live.
Right. And then the cult gets exposed. In 1993, Nellie George was living in Massachusetts with her husband, Jonathan George, and their 2 children, Layla and Rami. Layla is 7 and Rami is 4. Nellie was, there's so like Malini, Nellie, there's like
Rami.
too many names that are weird. Rami. Okay. Nellie was receiving literature from the Samaritan Foundation and got very interested. She persuaded her husband to let her and her 2 kids attend a 10-day seminar in Oklahoma that she described as a chance of a lifetime. After she arrived, her husband stopped hearing from her. The only phone number he had was one connected to Linda Greene's answering machine. When calls were returned, they were brief and abrupt. He became increasingly alarmed when, after 10 days, his family did not return. The next month, Nellie filed for separation and full custody.
Oh, no.
Jonathan appeared and was awarded temporary custody of his children, thank God. He left his job doing carpentry work for the TV show The Old House,
This Old House.
and that old
love that
house,
show.
and traveled to Guthrie to get his children. An emergency child custody hearing was held. It was 2 days of testimony, and because of this hearing, the Samaritan Foundation's teachings were exposed to the public.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Jonathan testified to his wife's bizarre behavior, which began 18 months earlier when she started receiving correspondence from the Samaritan Foundation. She was swinging a pendulum over things, including her children, to remove evil. To remove the evil from barcodes on product labels, groceries were placed on circular drawings. He found the same drawings underneath the children's pillows. This sounds like the movie like Hereditary or something.
Yeah, right?
To be fair, though, I use pendulums.
Yeah, you do.
And this is the thing also that like my great grandpa used, because I think at one point didn't the Samaritans move, and they move by using like a dowsing rod or
Yeah,
something?
because it's like for like decision making, right? It's kind of like a magic 8 ball in a way, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So but it's just funny that I use that also. Like, here, I'll show you how it works.
Yeah, like it points to different things or like wherever it swings to.
So this is, I don't have a crystal pendulum because I've been at my parents'. I haven't been able to buy anything. So I just use this necklace.
Oh.
Can you hear me when I'm like this, or is this
Yes.
so bad?
I'll narrate what you're doing. So Allie's got a necklace in her hands.
Okay, so you go like this, you just hold it, and you say, show me yes.
And she's got her palm down. I need to narrate it because it's audio. She's got one palm to the floor, and then she's holding the necklace above the palm as though it's a swing.
It's like dangling. It's like dangling
Yeah,
so I
above.
say, show me yes, and it swings in a certain direction.
But we're to believe that you're not swinging that in a circle.
Yes, it's going clockwise. Show me yes.
But I see your hand moving, Allie.
No, it's not moving.
Well, I mean, you can't hold your hand completely still. It's going to move a little.
I see it.
Show me
I
yes.
see your hand moving.
I don't like you guys.
Wait, try
So
it again.
then-
Do it
okay,
again.
so
Do it again and just be still.
I'm trying to be still. Show me yes.
That's still.
There it is.
There we are. Show me yes. So yes
me a
means
big-
so yes means side to side. Is that what it means?
Clockwise. Show me big yes.
What does big yes mean?
What does big yes mean?
It's moving bigger for you so you could see it more. I'm just, keep in mind, I'm in a very awkward position.
So who's doing this though?
Show-
Like what energy is that? Explain this.
My spirit guides. Now, show me no.
Okay, it's just hitting Allie in the face. It's just Allie's hitting herself.
You're such a bitch. Well, now I am moving it. Hold on. Show me no.
So it's
Moving
kind of.
counterclockwise.
So I just have questions about this, Allie. I mean this fully here. So it's with the pendulum thing and maybe with the dowsing rods too. It's taking the energy from what's around you and showing you just explain how.
This is what I believe it to be. So I'm communicating with my spirit guides.
Okay.
So I say through this. So I say, show me yes, and yes is counterclockwise.
Got it.
And then I say, show me no, and no, yes is clockwise. And I say, show me no, and then the no is counterclockwise. So then I can ask this yes or no questions, and it will answer for me by
Okay.
spinning.
And what kind of questions can you ask it? Do you feel that it can answer?
So when I'm doing my Reiki work, I'll be like, is the root chakra clear? And then it will say yes or no.
Oh, got it.
But for you, I could be like,
Careful.
Uh-oh.
Is Maria the producer of the Web Crawlers podcast?
That's a no.
How do you get it to say? How do you get it to say it barely?
It's saying yes. Oh, it started turning into a small yes.
All right. Well, tell your spirit guide that I've got a lot on my plate, please. God.
And then I could say a no would be does Maria have dark black hair in this lifetime?
What does it say? No.
It's
Yeah, it's
Or
going
is it saying I
counterclockwise.
should get my colors done? Who is your spirit guide? Who do you see it as? Do you see it as a person, or a animal, or a
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri. So that's a pendulum. You
Okay.
can believe it or you cannot, but I
Allie,
use
these
it.
are legit just real questions I'm asking because I didn't know how that worked.
I'm not on the defense. Listen, not everyone has the magic throwing.
And you
flowing
can
through
use
their veins.
anything to be a pendulum as long as it's kind
anything
of
that swings. Anything that swings and that you feel like a personal
Allie,
communication with.
gross.
Oh.
Ew.
Anyways, okay. So in the literature mailed by the Samaritan Foundation, Linda made reference to spiritual waste and how it can be disposed. Her remedy was to propel such waste into celebrities because many movie stars were already zombies. Oh my God, this is like what those people, Chad and Linda Daybell, thought.
Oh. They thought celebrities are...
They thought Oprah was
they
a zombie.
did.
Yeah. Who feel nothing from the procedure since they don't have souls. She then gave examples of various celebrities and their zombie type. Roseanne Arquette is a Ray octave zombie. What does that even mean? No, Madonna is a Nephilim zombie. What is that? I've heard of that word before. Hebrew, son of God, daughters of men, scholars, fallen. Bill Clinton is an animal mutant zombie, sure. Hillary Clinton is a 3 virtue zombie, and Saddam Hussein is a 5 virtue zombie. Okay.
Do they really mean like undead, or do they mean, or the dead, or whatever a zombie is, or do they just mean it as like, I don't even know how to answer.
I don't know. They don't feel anything. They're saying that you can put your spiritual waste into these celebrities because they don't feel anything because they're zombies.
Ooh, this is interesting. Keep going.
Rosanna Arquette's a zombie. I'm interested.
Yeah.
I don't know if they mean like the undead or like, I'm weird. She then suggested that if no celebrities are available, one could direct stray obsessive energy into soy milk and then pour it down the drain. So when you can't find a celeb, use soy milk. The court ruled in favor of Jonathan George, who took his children back to Massachusetts. And the custody hearing marked the beginning of the end for the Samaritan Foundation. State agencies began paying attention to this cult. By the end of the year, the Department of Human Services had condemned the Samaritan cult house. When investigations went deeper into the property, police learned that more than 30 people were living inside this old jail, and later it was completely shut down.
Ew.
By 1994, Samaritan Foundation members decreased from 350 worldwide to 4. Linda Greene, her friend Julia Roberts, Julia Williams, her 4th husband Denis Greene, and her 5th husband, filmmaker Alan Ross.
Yeah.
Melissa, what happened next?
So they used a dowsing rod and a pendulum to decide where to move next, and then it pointed to Cheyenne, Wyoming. So then the 3 of the 4 remaining members moved to Cheyenne. So Julia Williams, Linda Greene, and Alan Ross. So soon after their move, Alan was working with his pal Christian Bauer on their 7th film, Old Man River, about the Mississippi River.
Sounds riveting.
So then Linda showed up while they were filming, just suddenly and without any notice. It was just like, hey, I just came to see what you guys are working on. And the first time she did this was in St. Louis. And Christian Bauer, his filmmaker friend, said, one morning, Genevieve, which is an alias that Linda used, she was sitting there having breakfast with Alan, and she was not what I had expected her to be. She was very demanding. She was very controlling. She was not caring. She was not the kind of woman I had imagined her to be when I saw her picture.
Wait, babe.
So she showed up, and this guy Christian was like, who is your weird-ass wife, Alan?
Yeah, like hard pass on Genevieve
Yeah.
slash
Linda.
Linda.
And then in the fall of 1995, as the two wrapped up their filming in New Orleans, Linda again suddenly appeared. And Alan seemed to be embarrassed of her because she became a distraction to the film. On the Investigation Discovery episode, she would like jump in front of the cameras and like dance around and like...
Was she that blonde woman?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, she was weird.
She was weird.
Yeah.
So on the last day of shooting, Linda and Alan got into an argument. Linda was upset that Alan was spending too much time on his work. So they were like fighting. And then when the shoot was finally done, they arranged a farewell dinner for Christian and Alan. And Alan said he would be there, but he never showed up. And so Christian saw Alan the next morning and like said goodbyes, but that was the last time he ever saw him alive.
Uh-oh.
So then Alan goes missing.
Yikes.
So in late November 1995, Alan's family stopped hearing from him. And in December, police received a phone call from Linda's 4th husband, Denis Greene, who said that Linda had killed Alan and buried him in the crawl space under their house with Julia Williams' help.
Shit.
But then Linda started sending faxes to the police claiming that her ex-husband Denis was the one who killed Alan.
Oh my God, faxes.
Sending
Wild.
faxes to the police like, Denis killed Alan, it wasn't me. So meanwhile, Alan's family hired private investigators and even consulted a couple of psychics. And then both psychics on separate occasions claimed that Alan was alive in Texas. And the first said he had a mental breakdown, and the second said he had a trauma or that he'd been hit in the head. And both stated that Alan did not want to be found. And so before disappearing, Alan left a series of old post office boxes and phone numbers that are no longer in service and a street address that didn't exist.
What do you mean?
He left he had a post office box.
Yeah.
With like phone numbers that didn't exist, and then he had like addresses written down that didn't exist.
Oh, got it. Okay, in the P.O. box.
Yeah, like fake,
those
like
things.
fake stuff.
Okay, got it.
And he had also discussed with his friends the concept of disappearing and how easy it would be to create a new identity.
Geez, Maria says that shit all the time.
I know. You're like, it's just so easy just to like disappear sometimes.
No, it's not easy.
So then Christian Bauer, his filmmaker friend, recalled a conversation when he mentioned to Alan that in America, people leave trails that can be tracked. And Alan replied, well, what you do is build up a new persona by obtaining credit cards and new phone cards. It's all possible. You create this second or third identity and then you lose your first one. So he had talked about
psycho.
He had talked about like creating a new identity in the past.
Weird.
And so he's missing.
So then they film a really boring documentary about it. His friends and family weren't having any luck locating him, and the police weren't helping. What else is new? So they decided to make a documentary. It's just, okay, here's my thing with the documentary. They like don't, or maybe I just like stopped watching it because I was bored, but they don't cover any of the cool spooky stuff.
Unfortunately, it is not a good documentary. It's really not interesting. It's not well made. Like it's so incredibly boring.
Like talk to me about like zombies and witchcraft, not like what Alan wore all the time.
Yeah.
Like it was stupid.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of one of those things where it's more about Christian than it is about Alan, I feel like. You know what I mean? The family and the filmmaker had no idea what the Samaritan cult was and that Alan was married to its leader, Linda/Genevieve. They tried to contact Linda for months, but she was missing. They think she was traveling with Julia, but then months later, Linda actually contacted them. She changed her story about her ex, Denis, killing him. She said that Denis buried him. And when they asked who killed him, she said, the specialists. Once they go too far into the mind control, they terminated him. That's all I'm allowed to say. It's top secret. The filmmakers learned that shortly after her visit with Denis in December of 1995, when she claimed that she had done something to Alan, her family had committed her to a mental institution. Mm-hmm. The only thing consistent about Linda's story is that Alan was buried in the basement of their former home in Wyoming. She warned the filmmakers to stay away from the whole story because the government and the CIA was involved. After her interview, Linda disappeared again. The filmmakers returned to Cheyenne and shared with police what little they had learned. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough evidence to make an arrest. Brad begged the authorities to make one more search of the house. A detective agreed, but said that if nothing was found, the investigation would go cold.
Dun, dun, dun.
But thankfully, Alan's body was found. Officers inspected the crawl space in the basement once again, and this time they noticed something sticking out from the cement floor. It was the heel of a Converse shoe. Investigators chipped the cement away to reveal a grave. After 4 years and thousands of miles, the search for Alan ended. His body had never left the house at all. It was found exactly where both Denis and Linda Greene had told the police that it was buried.
Damn.
An autopsy determined that Alan received 2 shots, one in the head with a 9mm, and he was castrated.
Jesus.
The psychics did say that he had head trauma. I'm wiping out the psychics. They also said he was alive. Yeah. So they knew how he was killed, but there was no evidence to indicate who pulled the trigger. The Cheyenne police found Linda and again questioned her, but this time about murder. She had changed her story yet again, returning to her original charge that Denis was the killer. Linda. Linda seemed too insane to be a reliable witness, and there was no way to confirm Denis's account. So authorities were left without enough evidence for an arrest warrant.
That seems crazy.
It takes so much, I feel like, to actually arrest someone.
Yeah.
It's insane. 6 years after finding Alan's body, the two filmmakers, Christian Bauer and Galen Emerzian, caught up with Linda in New Orleans, and she agreed to an on-camera interview. She seemed less spirited, perhaps due to the psychiatric meds she was on. She still claimed her ex-husband Denis killed Alan. Later that year, their film Missing Alan came out.
Yeah. But then, a year later, in 2002, Linda died of liver failure. According to her family, she drank excessively to stop the voices in her head.
How is she drinking in that psych ward? I guess she got let out?
Yeah, she was only in there for a few months, and then she got let out, and then she was... Who knows what she was doing? She's bonkers.
She was hitting the bars.
Yeah. So who killed Alan then? So investigators were left with one other person besides Denis who may know what happened. So police had also interviewed Julia Williams, the woman who was like hanging out with Linda Greene this whole time. And she gave bizarre, conflicting accounts that led away from Linda as a suspect. So shortly after Linda's death, she was interviewed again. And this time she admitted to helping move Alan's body to the basement and cleaning up the crime scene. And she said that Denis was the one who killed Alan, Linda's ex-husband. She was adamant about it.
Interesting.
So the Cheyenne police had considered Denis and believed he knew more than he was telling. And Denis had actually agreed to take a lie detector test, which he failed. But the testimony of the two witnesses saying that he was the killer, both of whom investigators could place at the house on the day of the murder, he was never arrested. And after examining the evidence, the police developed their own series of events. They said that Julia Williams was telling the truth about everything except the identity of the killer.
What?
So they charged Julia Williams as an accessory after the fact. And her trial began November 2004, 9 years after the event. So at the trial, the prosecutors say there are two possible motives for Linda being the killer. The first involved profits from book sales, which Linda claimed that Alan was stealing. And the second was that Alan had had enough of Linda's bullshit and he was planning to leave her and move back to Chicago. So maybe she was upset that Alan was threatening to leave her.
Yeah, maybe.
And the prosecution called to the stand Denis and Linda Greene's 18-year-old son, who was 9 at the time of Alan's death. And he testified that his mom owned a 9mm gun.
Oh.
And that he once watched his mom use it to shoot the lock off of a gate.
Oh my God, that's so intense.
And so it took the jury only an hour to return with a guilty verdict, and Julia was sentenced to serve at least 24 months in prison, but not more than 34 months. And she was ordered to pay $2,500 fine and $3,500 in public defender fees.
You can help bury a body and that's it?
Yeah, that's it. And Denis Greene was never charged with anything, and investigators have officially closed the case. Because Linda died, they were like, no, Denis didn't do it. Like, they didn't even investigate him, which seems crazy.
Oh my God.
So
maybe the government was in on it.
Yeah. So the jail, the Samaritan Cult House, remains abandoned, that jail that they were at. But people claim there's a lot of paranormal activity at this prison.
I bet.
There was an episode of Ghost Adventures in 2017 and called Samaritan Cult House.
That's Maria's favorite show.
It really is. I love it.
They go to the jail, claim they hear voices.
Yeah.
Like sounds of metal doors slamming. I don't know. It was either Linda or Denis who killed him.
I mean, I think it was probably both of them. I think Linda was probably boinking everyone in that cult. And then one day Ted was like, I want out. And then...
Who's Ted?
What's the name of the guy we just did this episode on?
Alan Ross.
Tim Allen? Alan Ross. And then Tim Allen.
So I Googled Denis because I'm like, oh, he's still alive. He is an evangelical inspirational speaker. He has a website. He's living the life. He lives in Kansas City. his website, he says that he's a survivor of 5 miracles. The first miracle, he survived a gun to his head in an Angolan war zone. The second miracle, he said he was riding a wheelie on a motorcycle through a pack of baboons.
That's false. Wrong. No. Why? Okay, keep going.
The third miracle is that he was a witness in a murder trial, which is Alan Ross's murder trial. 4 is that he met the woman of his dreams 22 years after he saved her life. I don't know what that means. He doesn't expand on that. And then 5, my 10-year-old daughter's errant cartwheel saved my life. This is on his website. I don't know. He doesn't expand on any of this. This is on his website.
What?
Oh my God.
He claims he's like, yeah, I started a church. I'm like, yeah, you started a cult. You were Linda Greene's husband.
That's crazy.
But he has this he's a Catholic speaker organization member. Like he has kids. Oh, he had cancer, and then as part of his cancer recovery, he learned how to do stand-up comedy to appreciate the humor in daily life.
That's nice.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. The stewardship system, how to increase generosity without fundraising. 30 years of research and case studies are packed into a 200-page book and 1-hour speech. Each point is illustrated with stories. The time he was face-to-face with a silverback gorilla.
What?
Meeting the princess of the diamond mines.
What is that?
Wilderness survival at -10 below zero. Experiencing lightning on a mountaintop. Alligator wrestling.
No.
Being in the cave jail cell where St. Paul was imprisoned in Greece.
What?
Who is this guy?
What?
I mean, none of this can be real.
And then the house where Alan Ross was murdered is now a museum.
What?
It houses the DeSelms Fine Art and Custom Framing Company. They sell original artwork by local artists in this house.
That is so creepy. I cannot get
so
over a
weird.
cartwheel saving this guy's life.
What?
My daughter's cartwheel saved my life. Like, what does that even mean? Where was he that a cartwheel saved his life?
He doesn't expand on any of this. It's just
None
a
of
miracle.
this makes sense.
But also, I was reading that the cult, the Samaritan Foundation, has ties to the Branch Davidians in Waco.
Shut up.
Yeah,
I was
'cause it
thinking
was
that the whole
the
time.
same time. And that this cult may have been an inspiration for the Unabomber because it was based in Oklahoma. And it was around the time of the Unabomber.
Wow, this is crazy. I love cults and I love spookiness and I love cartwheels. So this was right up my alley. And I love packs of baboons. So this was perfect for
Doing
me.
a wheelie to get away from a pack of baboons.
Why?
Who among us have not?
Like,
Why?
what?
This is crazy. Well, that's that. Melissa, if people want to reach us to tell us more creepy, weird stories like this, if you know more like cult stuff or weird, spooky stuff, Melissa, where can people reach us?
You can reach us at webcrawlerspod@gmail.com, or you can find us on the internet on Twitter or Instagram or Reddit or Facebook.
Cool. Well, anyways, I'm Allie Baboon Cartwheels Siegel.
I'm Melissa Alligator Wrestler Stetton.
And I'm Maria Lightning on a Mountain Blasucci.
Bye.
Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by Acast.